Hey everybody, I'm Lauren and I'm from Creative Mom Boss. And today we're going to talk about 5 strategies I used to make over $150,000 on Etsy in the last 12 months. So I'm really excited to talk about this because it was a really popular blog post and I'm really excited to be doing another Facebook Live after a few weeks off. I hope if you're in the US, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving holiday. So we had about 2 weeks off of Facebook Lives, but now we are back at it. So I'm excited about that. I like doing these. I love it when people join live. If you're watching the replay, hi, thanks for joining. So if you haven't read the blog post about these strategies, I'm going to link it in the comments right now. So give me just a second. There is the blog post. And that way you can click through and read it. And I will also have a PDF printable to go along with this Facebook Live when we're done. I don't have the link for that right off the top of my head, so I'll have to post it later. But it'll be sort of like a checklist of things to go through so that you can follow along, or things to work on that I sort of outlined in this Facebook Live. So I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in because I don't want to waste your time. So if you're here live, go ahead and say hey. I always love it when people join in live. So the first thing we're going to talk about is one of the strategies. The first one is to consistently add new items to your shop. We've talked about this a little bit in the past, but a critical part of getting found on Etsy is having a large number of listings. You don't have to have like 1 million or even like 1,000, but having a full shop so that if somebody comes into your shop, it appears like you didn't just start with like 2 things for sale is really important. So a lot of people have said that they have found the greatest amount of success around 100 listings. I don't even honestly think you need to have specifically 100, but I believe there's about, I'm trying to think, I think there's like around 30 or 35 listings on each page of your Etsy shop. So to have at least one full page is really good. You don't want people to click into your shop, even though a lot of people find you through the search anyway, so they're finding it through one specific product. You still don't want people clicking into your shop and seeing that you only have like 3 items available. It doesn't make your shop look professional. And it also is important in terms of getting found in the Etsy search and just having Etsy see your shop as an active shop in order to sort of have that. Etsy doesn't straight up come out and say that the SEO, that it's important for you to be adding new items for SEO. But anecdotally, there have been a lot of people who have said that the more they work on their shop, like the back end part of their shop behind the scenes, the more success they found, or the more traffic that's getting driven to their shop. So one of the ways that I really like to stretch listings, because a lot of times when you're just starting out, you say like, okay, that's great that people have, 30 or 50 or 100 listings, but I don't have that many products for sale. So how do you stretch them? My favorite way of doing that is to copy and paste listings so that you can do testing on them. So when you go into the backend part of your listing, there's a button that says copy, and it literally does just that. It copies the pictures, the descriptions, the titles, tags, everything. And so you can take that same listing and change out, say you have something in a different color. So let's say you're selling a pair of earrings and the original listing picture is in blue, but you can also offer those earrings in green and red and yellow. So you could copy this listing and I like to change out the first picture just so that if somebody doesn't look at your shop as a whole, so they don't see the same picture over and over and over again. But you can have the same picture, it doesn't hurt you. But so say you have these earrings and you have one picture in yellow, the first picture is yellow, and then the next listing, the first picture is green, and then the next picture, the next listing, the picture is blue. But then all the rest of the pictures can be the same because it is the same item, but it's just that if they were to see your shop on the front page, it would look like you had a lot more items. You even see this in big box stores. Like if you go on something like Old Navy or something and you're looking at a t-shirt, you'll see that they'll have the t-shirt in blue, and then they'll have the t-shirt in red, and then they'll have the t-shirt in yellow. But if you click on one of those, you can also select from a drop down for the different colors too. So it's stretching out those listings. My next favorite way of doing it is to, if you have a set, this works especially well if you have sets. So say for me, for example, I sell baby items. So I have a burp cloth set that would have 2 burp cloths and a bib. That's the baby gift. But then I can take a picture of 1 burp cloth and a bib, or just the bib, or just the burp cloths. And then you can list each one of those individually. So again, it stretches those listings, even though that was only one package. So this would work with other things too. If you had jewelry that you're selling as a necklace and earring set, or a necklace and earrings and bracelet, you could separate each of them and do a listing for each of them, and then do a listing with just the necklace and the bracelet, and just the necklace and the earrings, and then the earrings and the bracelet. And you can really expand those listings with fewer products. If that just is, then I would recommend to do some samples. This is a great time of year to do that, since it's the holidays. You know, everyone in your life basically should be getting what you're selling. You could do teacher gifts, you could do your parents, your siblings, your kids, whatever you sell, making samples, making examples, and be taking pictures of every single one of those. You don't have to post the pictures until after you give the gift, if it's like a surprise gift, but you definitely want to be taking a lot of pictures. And keep these tips in mind as you're taking the pictures, so that maybe you can do some of those things. If you don't have the pictures already built up, you can do some of these things with new pictures that you're taking. So my next little set of tips in terms of really expanding your shops and really getting more sales is to do seasonal items. So this was actually something that I did this year for the first time, that I focused on more than I have in years past. And my sales between last year, 2017, and this year, 2018, increased almost 50%. So it was a big jump. And last year had been my best year ever up to that point. So I really focused a lot, and this was actually kind of unintentionally, although moving forward, I will do it even more intentionally, but I focused a lot on seasonal items. But the key to doing seasonal items is that you have to do them early. You have to be really prepared, which sometimes gets really hard. And I think with running a small business, it can be really difficult to do that, because you have to be thinking like months in advance. So, I will warn you though, that if this is your first year doing it, be wary of, or wary, I think it's wary, of getting too much stock for holidays that you haven't sold for in the past. So for example, I ordered like a ton of Halloween bags, like for candy for kids to carry, that were monogrammed, and they did not sell well. I don't know why. They were adorable. I thought they were going to be a big hit, and they weren't. And so now I have a lot of Halloween bags in my basement, which is not ideal, because that's just money that's going to sit there, and it's really not something, obviously, that's going to sell year round, because they're like pumpkins. So if this is the first year that you're doing a specific holiday, I would be conservative in your estimation. It's better to sell out, even though it stinks like as a small business owner, and it like hurts my heart when I have to be like, no, I'm sorry, I'm sold out. I hate doing that. But in your first year of doing it, it's better to be sold out of a product than it is to have product that just is going to sit and sit and sit, especially when it's super specific to a holiday that is not going to sell year round. There's some things that maybe they're specific to the holiday, but they'll also be popular throughout the course of the year. But then there's other things that are like super specific to that holiday, and they're not going to be popular. So you don't want to be sitting on that stock all year. That's just tying up money that could be used for other things, and that's not ideal. So yeah, that's my warning. Be conservative. But holiday things are really popular, and I think they're really, really popular on Etsy, because a lot of people are looking, especially I think in the kid niche and jewelry. Well, I don't know, probably a lot of things, home decor, clothing. There's a lot of categories that I think that people go to Etsy specifically in that time of the year for those items. So one thing I wanted to make a note of is that you don't necessarily have to just have like the traditional holidays, like Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, Easter, whatever. Think outside the box a little bit. So for example, something that was really big for me this year was the beginning of football season. That's not really a season, well, I guess football season is a season, but it's not really like a holiday, except for I live in the South, so it kind of is like a holiday. But so back to school is a big one. Graduation is a big one. Mother's Day, Father's Day, springtime, especially if you're doing like home decor or wreaths or something in that sort of niche, like springtime, fall time, like seasonal things. Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, spring break, whatever. There's a lot you can really get into. I've seen people have success with like the 100th day of school, which obviously is not a traditional holiday, but if you have kids, my kids celebrate it in school. I don't ever remember that being popular when I was a kid. I feel gypped, but yeah, so it doesn't have to just be the main holidays. There's obviously going to be more competition when it's main holidays. You're a lot more likely to find something on Etsy for Christmas than you are for the 100th day of school. But I just wanted to throw that out there as something that was different in my business this year compared to last year. That was a really, really big change for me. And I also wanted to just give, again, a warning. You need to really be planning early. So like, it's kind of too late to be doing Christmas stuff. You need to be wrapping up your Christmas, having deadlines coming within the next few weeks, or else you're going to be like inundated with crazy last minute people who are super stressed about it. So you need to be planning right now, like New Year's and Valentine's Day, in order to have like your Valentine's Day stuff should be going up right after New Year's, if not before, but definitely the very beginning of January. Easter, I think, is like the middle of April this year. So like you need to be working on it in like February. So you're working several months in advance. It's really hard to get into that groove. And I've struggled with this over the years, especially as I started buying more wholesale, like large quantities that take longer to produce, because the retail cycle is really crazy. I mean, it's the same as when you go into a store and you're like, it's April and they have out bathing suits. It's the same kind of thing. They're always prepared for the next season. Otherwise, you're constantly going to be stuck in this rut of having customers who are buying at the last minute, because they're buying like 2 weeks before the holiday. And so everybody's going to be stressed because they're going to be putting a ton of pressure on you. And that's just not a great situation. So next up, my next tip is to really, really rock your customer service. So this is something that's hard, and it is an ongoing process, I think, because customer service is not my forte. If we're being honest, it's actually one of my least favorite parts of dealing with people on Etsy or selling on Etsy. Simply because I think it's really hard when you're making things handmade and you're taking time, like making it each individual. I'm the only employee of my business. I'm the only one that's doing this. I'm making every single thing by hand. So when somebody comes back to me and says like, you messed this up, or you didn't do this, I don't like it, whatever, it feels like a personal attack. So customer service is really hard for me. Maybe it's not hard for other people. This is just me personally. I find it to be difficult. So, but it's super, super important. Like if you think about businesses that are really successful, especially within the past, let's say 5 or 10 years, I think about Amazon, really, Zappos, things like that like they have great return policies. They have great ability to get in touch with them. They really work for the customer. So I think that it's really important when you're dealing with customer service to treat it like a business. I never, ever respond. If I get somebody that has a complaint or something that they're not happy with, I never respond right away. I always take at least 24 hours, or at least the next day. If they respond, or if they message me at night, I may wait until the following morning. But like, I need a minute. I need a second to digest what you're saying, to step back from it and say, okay, this is not a personal attack. They're not like saying that I suck at doing this and I should quit. But it allows me to step back and respond in a professional way, so that I'm not just like coming right back with them with a response, or I'm not going to fix this. The times that I've responded the quickest have been when I've provided not great customer service. There have been times that I have gotten messages that's like, there was one that the girl didn't like the color that something was in, and I responded right away, and I provided horrible customer service for her, and she ended up opening a case against me on Etsy, which she did not win, I will say. But regardless, it was a whole big headache for like a $20 item that I should have just refunded, because that would have been the better customer service to provide. So I have learned through the course of dealing with customers in a large quantity that it takes me a second to not get offended or to not argue back with them. So, but it really is important to me to provide that good customer service. So I have just learned from my own experience that I have to take a second before I respond in order to be able to provide the best service that I can. And I have had people, review after review after review that people have said, she responds quickly, she's super polite, she is so willing to work with you, like really great customer service. That allows people to trust you and to trust your business. And I think that especially these days on Etsy, because Etsy used to not be so, I feel like there used to be a little bit more trust with Etsy. Now there are shops that pop up, they sell things, they don't ever ship them out, and they go away. And then people have to go back to Etsy or back to their credit card company and get their money back. So I feel like there is a little bit more hesitation from the buyer of like, especially because Etsy charges you right when they purchase it. They don't charge when it ships, whereas a lot of places charge when it ships. So I just think that customer service bridges that gap a little bit and allows people to have more faith in your business and just have a good feeling about your business. I will caveat that by saying, though, I always warn people, especially newer sellers on Etsy, there are people who are just trying to scam you. So I don't think that the customer is always right. It really depends on the situation. But it's actually recently, probably within the last year or so, come to my attention that there are like whole groups on Etsy groups on Facebook of people who are trying to scam Etsy sellers. And like they do whatever they do. I obviously am not a part of these groups, but whatever they do, they get their money back and they get the free product and whatever. And then they'll post in these groups like, I bought from X, Y, and Z shop, and this was my complaint, and this is how they handled it, and I got my money back and I got to keep the product. There's a lot of people that jump to refunding even if they shouldn't, or even if there was nothing wrong, they weren't the ones in the wrong, and they don't even require the person to ship the product back or anything. They want to avoid a bad review, so they refund and cancel so that the person can't leave a review, and that's the end of it. I mean, there's times that I would say that's not a horrible idea, but I would really think twice about that. I mean, you really need to really analyze the situation and think about what a store would do. Think about something like a Pottery Barn or a Nordstrom or even Zappos. I mean, Zappos has like the best, easiest return policy ever, but like you have to return the stuff. They don't just give you your money back for no reason. So just keep that in mind. If you ever have any questions or if you ever run into that situation, post it in the group. And I could tell you like, here's what I would do, or here's what I think, or it just allows you to have some input from other people, which I think is really helpful in situations that you get bad feedback or you get a bad run-in with a customer or whatever. It helps to have some outside perspectives sometime. So I'm always willing to do that. And I'm sure that there are other people in the group that would also love to do that too. People are super helpful. So the next thing is to ask customers to share your shop. This is like an old school marketing thing, but especially I feel like with social media, like everybody's always chatting on social media and stuff, but people just forget about this. An old school marketing thing is to just ask your customers to tell their friends, ask your customers to tell their family or their fellow mom friends or their fellow jewelry addicts, whatever. I do this through, and I think I may have talked about this in another Facebook Live, but I have a little postcard, and I actually will include this with the download that I'll have up later for you. But I have a postcard that I include, that's the word I'm looking for. I include with every package that I send out. And it says, share the love. Thank you for buying from Funky Monkey Children. Here's how to tag us on Instagram. We would love it if you share it with friends. You can do that. So you can just straight up ask them. I think that's fine. And I have even responded to customers' convos before, like when they say like, oh my gosh, I love this. I love this so much. This is my favorite gift ever. I'm like, thank you so much. I'd love to help you in the future, and let me know if you have any friends that would need anything like this as well. Or I'd love it if you'd share it with your friends, something like that. Another way to do it is like with the insert in the package. If they tag you, say they tag you on Instagram, or they post a picture of your Instagram stuff, or they post a picture of your products on Instagram or Facebook, wherever your community is, you could run a contest. So you could say every month from the beginning, the first day of the month to the last day of the month, whoever tags me, posts a picture of their product on their Instagram account and then tags my account, or posts a picture and tags their friends, or however you want to do it, they'll be automatically entered to win some prize. And then you set the prize, whether it's a gift certificate or a free product or whatever it is. And I also do, whenever anybody tags me on Instagram, I get a lot of people that post their products, or post their like baby with their product or whatever. And then I repost it because I have a fairly large Instagram following. So especially people who are like bloggers, or they want to be Instagram influencers, they are wanting you to repost their stuff. So they're more than happy to post in exchange for me also posting. Now, I don't like straight up say that I'm going to do that, but I always do, because I feel like it sort of goes back to that community and the customer service. Like, they're interacting with me and I'm interacting back with them. So it just makes it feel more of like a two-way street versus just being like, oh, thanks for the post, I'm going to just ignore it and not acknowledge that you did that. So yeah, so just asking them to share your shop, ask your friends, ask your family. People are pretty happy to do that. So yeah. So the last tip that I have is to master that Etsy SEO. And I have a whole live video that's posted. If you go to my, I think it's on the left-hand side of the group, you can click the videos tab. There's a whole one that's called Etsy SEO. And we talk about the SEO changes for 2018 and sort of the best practices. But Etsy SEO is where it's at. You have got to master that SEO. And I actually told somebody recently, I did not even start any sort of off of Etsy advertising, not an email list. I guess I did have a Facebook page, but I don't do a whole lot with my Funky Monkey Children Facebook page. I didn't start an Instagram account, nothing, until 2015. So I already had well into the 5 figures of sales with just Etsy SEO. Now, would I tell you that you should do that in 2018? No. You shouldn't rely 100% on SEO because the Etsy algorithm is always changing. There is a lot of market saturation, blah, blah, blah. You should be doing some of your own marketing. But Etsy SEO, mastering it, getting it out there, understanding how you get found on Etsy search is the easiest and the fastest and 100% the cheapest way of getting found. It also will allow you to have a ton of sales without having to spend so much time marketing. Like, I do a lot on Instagram now, and I do have an email list, and I do have some of these other things that are outside of Etsy, but I don't have to spend, there are weeks that go by that I'll post a couple times on Instagram, or maybe 1 or 2 times on Instagram, that I still get a ton of sales because my SEO is on point. So people are finding my shop, even if I'm not driving them to it. Now, when I do the marketing outside, when I send out an email, when I post on Facebook, when I engage with people on Instagram, my sales go up for sure. And so I do think that outside marketing is very, very important, but that SEO is the base, the foundation of how you get found. So I have a lot of information already. So if you've already read all of that, I don't want to be too repetitive. But titles, tags, attributes, categories, those are the things that Etsy has come out and said, these are the ways that you get found on Etsy. These are the things that affect your Etsy SEO. To a smaller extent, offering free shipping, having a really fast turnaround time. I think that may be it. I can't think. I feel like I might be missing something. But those are the ones that stand out to me right now. Like I said, there is that whole SEO video. It's like 30 minutes long. So we talk just about SEO. So I don't want to go over all of those things again. But the crucial part really these days in 2018, in this minute, is that Etsy has said that your placement in search is based on your quality score, and your quality score is based on your ranking in search. So that's kind of cyclical, like you're going around in a circle there, but it's based on the amount of traffic that comes into that listing and how many people buy. So you don't just want like this influx of traffic that's not interested in your shop. So I see this a lot with Facebook groups, Etsy Facebook groups specifically, that people will do like fave-a-thons or like-a-thons or whatever, where they're like favoriting each other's product. They'll like post one product and everybody will favorite it, but that is not helping because nobody is actually buying it. So you're getting all this traffic, but nobody's buying it, which is showing Etsy that somehow you attracted a whole lot of attention, but nobody wants it. So that does not help your quality score and actually might hurt your quality score because nobody's buying it. So it's better to have really targeted, really interested traffic that converts to buyers than it is to have a whole bunch of people that are like window shopping, but nobody's buying anything. So that really impacts the quality score. And they've talked a lot about conversions. So it's really important to get those people over to buying rather than just looking. So I just want to remind you guys, and I know I say this a lot, but it's really important to remember that there's nothing special about my shop or my story that has made it possible. My shop has grown so much over the past, 6 years, but really the past 3 years since I took it really full time. I'm on track to have over $170,000 in sales just on Etsy this year. I don't even have a shop off of Etsy anymore. I used to have a Shopify shop, but there's also a post about why I quit Shopify, and I direct everything back to Etsy now. And I feel really good about that. But there is nothing special about me. I was not a crafter before I started my Etsy shop. I started crafting specifically to sell on Etsy. I don't have a marketing background. I've never sold anything online before. So there is nothing crazy about me that makes my story possible that makes it not possible for you to have the same success. So I really want you guys to believe that this is possible. When I started my shop, $500 a month, that was awesome. That was great. Now it's just beyond my wildest imaginations of what it could be. So I want you guys to dream about that, to daydream about what it could be like if your shop really moved past what you've ever even imagined. And I don't want you to feel like, well, those days are gone. Like people were successful on Etsy in the past, but you can't be anymore. Like I said in the beginning of the video, my shop has grown almost 50% year over year from last year. So last year was a great year, and I set a goal to surpass that by about $5,000. That was my goal, and I have surpassed it by over $50,000. So it is just an amazing time to be selling on Etsy, to be selling online. What a time to be alive, right? People say that like jokingly, but I really do feel like that. Like I was a stay-at-home mom with 3 kids under the age of 4 running this business. And I didn't even have any full-time childcare until this year, until July. So just a few months ago. So it is definitely possible. I am here to help whatever questions you have. I always love to help. I love getting emails. I'm in the Facebook group all the time. So don't hesitate to ask any questions that you have. There's also other people that will chime in too, cheer you along. It's really great. And let me know if there's anything I can help you with. And I will see you next week. Next week, we are going to be talking about 2019 planning. So sort of the same idea. We're going to talk about the things that you can do to plan for your 2019 so that you're not like constantly reacting to things that are happening, but you're actually planning in advance so that you can like really scale your business in the way that you want to. So I will see you next week. Bye.